Hey y'all, it's Michelle here, Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Coach, mental health therapist, and certified clinical trauma therapist as well. And today I want to talk to you guys about how to let go. And when I say let go, I'm talking about completely detaching emotionally from your narcissist or any unhealthy relationship or situation that you may find yourself in. It is one thing to be able to walk away physically and no longer be in that relationship, but being able to emotionally detach is not always as easy. You may find yourself still thinking about that person, reminiscing about them, ruminating about them in the relationship, remembering and thinking about all of the positive moments of that relationship, and perhaps minimizing some of the more hurtful and abusive times that you had with them. And that is quite normal as you experience grief. You're grieving a loss. Sometimes we forget that even when we get ourselves out of an unhealthy situation, even when we make the best decision, the right decision for us, it still comes with emotional turmoil and pain. It still is a loss. It still brings sadness and grief that we have to try and deal with. And it can be very difficult to move through that and navigate those emotions to a point where we can let go. And so I'm going to give you all a few tips on how you can let go of a failed relationship, a breakup, the narcissist, or anyone that you find yourself with that you are holding on to and you don't need to. The first tip that I have in learning how to let go is to simply avoid denial and practice radical acceptance. There are many things that we deny as our own defense against those painful emotions that we have. We deny that the person that we were with was maybe a toxic, a narcissist, or a sociopath. We deny that they were abusive. We deny that the relationship was harmful. We deny that they were intentionally harmful. And sometimes we deny even that it's completely over. And when I say denial, I'm talking about an unconscious process that keeps us from accepting the truth. And we want to be able to use radical acceptance to push past the denial. That means accepting 100% who they are, what happened, everything about that relationship, accepting it as it is without trying to assess it, analyze it, question it, get closure. You have to tell yourself every day, I accept this loss. I accept them for who they are. I accept that this relationship was toxic. I accept that it was unhealthy. I accept that they intentionally harmed me, because we're going to have a lot of cognitive dissonance when we leave those relationships, because there were two sides to these people. So that we have two competing beliefs about who they are. You have to let go of the false narrative, and you have to completely 100% embrace the truth and accept it. The second tip that I have for you on learning to let go is to detach with love. And there's a reason that I say detach with love, because we can choose to not accept something and to not accept someone and still not harbor resentment and anger in our hearts. And I'm not saying that it's not okay to be angry. It is. It's important to allow yourself to feel whatever you feel. But the goal is to work towards releasing that, because that's another part of the denial. The more we hang on to that anger, the more we hang on to that resentment, the more we are still bonded to that person, the more we are still attached to them, the more we are still a prisoner emotionally and mentally of their wrongdoings, the more we are still being harmed emotionally and mentally by this person when we hold on and harbor that anger and resentment. So when I say detach with love, I'm saying work through those feelings and detach emotionally from all of those intense, uncomfortable, painful, overwhelming, and powerful emotional sensations that keep you thinking about this person and ruminating about them. Detaching from the belief that things should have been different, detaching from wanting to change the ending, detaching from wanting to get any type of revenge. It ended how it ended. And if you were with a narcissist or a sociopath or any other toxic individual, it ended painfully. So we have to accept that, and we have to work through those feelings, and we have to detach from this fantasy that things could have been different, because it couldn't have been. And we have to detach from that anger and that resentment, and we have to replace it with love. Not love for them, but love for ourselves. So we are releasing anger, we are releasing resentment, we are replacing that with love and giving it back to ourselves. And the third tip that I want to give you about learning to let go is being able to practice mindfulness. And that means being fully present in the moment, being aware of what you are feeling, being aware of what you're thinking, embracing the moment, not holding on to those past thoughts and memories, not worrying about the future and what could have been, what should have been, but totally living in the moment, enjoying your life, finding ways to make each moment count, doing things that give meaning and purpose to your life, and not just major things. If you have goals that you want to accomplish, and you're working towards those, and you're working towards meeting those goals, and you're doing things every day, and you're staying consistent and working on yourself, that is absolutely amazing, and that is fine. But it's also about those everyday moments that we have, those quiet moments that we have when maybe we're sitting out in nature, maybe we're spending time with a friend or a loved one, a child, a family member. Maybe we are reading a book that we enjoy. Maybe we are just thankful that we are still here, especially if we were with someone who was physically abusive or someone who was violent or threatening in some way. But just appreciating the fact that I am here, I exist in this moment for a reason. And I survived that horrible situation that I was in, and I came out of it. And I can be okay with where I am today. And I may still be a work in progress. I may still be healing. I may still be experiencing some trauma and some pain. But even those feelings, thoughts, and sensations that I have that I feel are troublesome or bothersome or immensely intense at times, I can still lean into that, and I can still recognize that those feelings are temporary, that grief is temporary. And I can kind of roll with it and then bring myself back to the moment. Practicing mindfulness and living each moment as it comes really helps you to let go. It helps you to achieve peace and serenity. And the last tip that I'm going to give you about learning how to let go is really about releasing. So we talked about acceptance of the situation as it is. We talked about detaching with love, letting go of anger and resentment, detaching from outcomes and wanting things to have been different. We talked about learning to be fully present in the moment and only focus on that and having gratitude for that moment. And then the last thing that we want to add to that is being able to lean into your feelings and to release them. We don't want to be in denial. Going back to the first thing that I said, denial leads to suppression of our feelings and our emotions. We want to be able to release that. We can't let go of something if we don't acknowledge it. We can't let go of something if we don't honor it. We can't let go of something if we don't express it, if we don't process it, if we don't face it, if we don't deal with it. We have to lean into what we feel and release. And the only way to release is to face it directly. So when I talked about letting go of that anger and resentment, you can't do that until you can address it and deal with it. You can't do that until you can feel it. So feeling and releasing that sadness, feeling and releasing that anger, feeling and releasing any fear, feeling and releasing betrayal, loneliness, whatever emotions that were evoked by that person, by that relationship, by that situation that you are in, leaning into that, feeling it, and then ultimately releasing it. So if we practice doing these things that I mentioned, and of course it's not all inclusive, you may have things that you want to add to that. Maybe let me know in the comment section down below if there have been things that you have done that has helped you let go of these unhealthy situations emotionally and mentally and physically, and to be able to remove yourself from it and to free yourself, because that's what this is about. It's about healing. It's about being free. It's about liberating yourself. It's about getting your life back, regaining your power. And we can only do that if we can learn to let go of these people that have skillfully manipulated us into being completely addicted and trauma bonded to them.